thank you so much for joining me in conversation. And today I would love to talk about your Energy Mismatch book, which I have enjoyed and which makes a lot of sense to me. But perhaps we can start by, if you would be kind enough to tell us about how you became interested in energy work. You know, if there's, I know you've been involved with it for many years, but what was your initial inspiration to get involved?
Okay, so it was 1982, and my son was, you know, a couple of years old, and he developed eczema. And I was very upset about this because I'd had eczema since I was about 8. I was always scratching, itching, skin bleeding, and so on. And I just thought he's going to be just like me. He's going to have all these problems. He's just started earlier. And I was very upset and very concerned. And I went to a health fair looking for solutions for him. I actually started reading some books and became convinced he was allergic to something. But at that time, people said, go on spring water for 5 days and then introduce a food one at a time. Well, that's hard enough for an adult to do, but for, you know, a 2-year-old baby, I mean, it's an impossibility. And so I thought there must be some way of sorting this out. So I went to this health fair, and there was a Touch for Health stand there, and they had this poster at the back of the stand saying muscle testing can be used for da 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 da. One of them was allergies. So I asked them about that. After that, I took him to a practitioner of Touch for Health, and he tested him and said he's allergic to wheat. Now I'm going back, it might have even been earlier than 1982, but at that time, nowadays, that's quite a common idea that people can be allergic to wheat or gluten or whatever. But at that time, that was a really radical idea, very bizarre for most people. So I took him home, took him off wheat, and within 48 hours, his eczema had virtually gone. He'd had diarrhea most of his life. That was starting to clear up as well. I was totally and utterly bowled over, took myself along. I got tested. Again, totally amazing results. I'd also had catarrh and hives as well as eczema, and they were all sorted. So at the time, I was doing some university teaching in sociology and management. But I thought, actually, this is much more interesting, much more worthwhile. So
you state in the book that something is miscategorized. A substance can be miscategorized as beneficial, miscategorized as harmful, or uncategorized. So it's a very interesting word, and that the protocol that you're presenting can correct the miscategorization. So would you say that the body has made an error or a mistake when it does that, when it miscategorizes or uncategorizes?
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, it's an interesting question why, and I don't think we have a full answer to that. Certainly, there's sometimes a genetic component to it. I've had members of the same family have similar miscategorization problems. I've also had members of the same family have problems with miscategorization, but not with the same substance, right? I mean, perhaps I can just flesh out a bit what I mean by miscategorization so people can understand more clearly. I mean, everything we encounter in terms of physical substances, so whether it's something you eat, whether it's a supplement, whether it's something you breathe, something you put on your skin, the body has to categorize them because it has to decide what to do with them.
It's an interesting word, and that I've used the term resonance and dissonance from an energetic perspective as well.
I don't think it's quite the same because it's not about whether something is good or bad for you, which I think has a bit of the connotation of resonance.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, so in resonance terms, mercury would resonate as something bad. An organic apple would resonate as something good, right?
Mhm.
But when we're doing mismatch, we're not actually considering whether the thing is good or bad for us.
Mhm.
What we're considering is whether the body, the energy system, understands the nature of the substance and has categorized it properly, so it deals with it correctly, which is either maximum absorption or maximum rejection.
So just jumping into the books and sort of the nuts and bolts here, that there are checks that one does with this protocol. There's 1 through 8 that you go through, and there's like a pinching and an unpinching that I hadn't heard of before. And the purpose of that would be to check that energy is moving well, or what other purposes might there be?
Yeah, it's to check that the energy system is balanced, and you're using various checks. So you have a yes/no check, for example, which is something about the verbal, mental system. The pinch/unpinch is to do with the physical muscle. So it's much more physical body. And then there's a test with a magnet where you're looking much more at the electromagnetic field of the person. So you're really checking that you get the correct responses to those questions. Because if the body can't give you the correct responses, then, you know, what's the point in asking any questions? What's the point in doing any testing? Yeah.
That's right. These points, did those points emerge from the work of Jimmy Scott then, primarily?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. The protocol, all the protocol comes from him. And people go, how did he develop it? He uses a lot of verbal questioning, as do most natural bioenergetic health kinesiology practitioners. And so he established through verbal questioning.
Is this verbal questioning, is it out loud, or does the practitioner
It can be either.
Either
It can
way.
be either. Yeah. I mean, in general, I recommend people do it out loud, because if you do it out loud, you're really precise. You actually have to use words.
And you might
Whereas
correct yourself.
if you do it silently, then often people don't sort of really phrase it properly, and that way you get into a lot of problems with it.
There's also,
and of course, I have written another book
yes,
entitled Verbal Questioning Skills. I mean, the way Jimmy explained it is we use bladder, kidney, stomach, spleen, and the bladder and the, you know, you were talking about fear.
Yeah.
Well, the kidney and bladder meridians are very much associated with fear, and then you've got the stomach and spleen are obviously associated with your digestive system, with your immune system, and so on. So there's a sort of, to some extent, a logical reason to choose those as well. The stuff I'd learned and the stuff I understood and the stuff I'd taught, I didn't want to lose that completely. So that's why I started writing the book, so people could still have that information if they wanted to.
Well, and I am very appreciative of this. I've never seen anyone write about it and make it accessible just so readily, and it's on Amazon.com, and
it's on all the Amazon sites. You can get it, you know, wherever you are in the world. If you go to Amazon, you can get it. Yeah,
that's right. And I've enjoyed it and found it to be very straightforward, as I say, conversational, and I encourage everybody to pick it up and continue the conversation and continue the practice. And thank you so much, Jane, for all your work.
That's okay. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you.